This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get more information on Insomniac's upcoming Wolverine and the kind of tone the game will allegedly set. I think you guys are going to be very impressed with the rating that this game will be getting. Allegedly. We get more concrete information about the Switch 2. And let's just say those 4K claims aren't looking too promising. Oh, they might have overshot it. These alleged guys that are in the know. Embracer Group is not looking very stable at the moment, and they are going through quite a few changes that could affect them long term. And we get an extremely small update on Stellar Blade. And believe you me, it's not huge news, but it is promising. All of these stories can be found here and quite a few more in episode 188 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to say thank you and welcome to another episode. Now, as always, listeners out there, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, which I am going to get it back up and running, but I got to be honest with you guys, it probably won't be until the beginning of the year. My work schedule is wild, so I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. So we're going to wait till next year to really get into the listener feedback section of the podcast. But if you do, well, it's actually an episode. It's a full episode dedicated to you guys, the listeners, because I mean, you guys are greatly, greatly appreciated. But if you do want to be a part of that, you can feel free to call in at 443-380-0281 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and let's get into what we all come here for. And that is the gaming news that went down. So let's get started on Rumor Boulevard.
Rumor has it is something that only I know.
This week, with a report that is coming from Rockstar Insider, Tez 2, he believes that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be getting story DLC released. He says, quote, "When you factor in that single-player DLC was considered for every title since Grand Theft Auto 4, except GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, we're never followed through due to the focus online and work already starting on the next title. I don't see why Rockstar wouldn't repeat the same pattern with 6 and then decide whether to cut or follow through. But this time they may do the latter. And it's more of episodic content, aka expansions, than a singular single-player DLC. They can do them yearly or bi-yearly, which would help reduce crunch." End of quote right there. And by the way, I actually got this story from Gaming Bible. Those are our new friends. Well, my new friend. Gaming Bible, and of course they're not advertising anything like that. I just really truly like their site and the stories that they cover. But if you guys are interested in gaming news or online, definitely go over there and check them out. But I would say for this news, this is promising. Now, of course, this is all alleged. This is all how would you say? Like I said, this is rumors. None of this stuff could end up being true. But if it is true, I don't think any of us would complain. I know I sure wouldn't. I know I loved back in the day the Ballad of Gay Tony and the motorcycle DLC for the story DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4. I forgot the name of that one. But yeah, I think that would be a welcome change. I mean, this is something that we were hoping for with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, they never happened, the story DLCs. Instead, they concentrated on online content only. So I think this would be a fantastic change. I think it would be a welcome change because I'm not a online player. I love single player story driven games. And that's what I would like for them to include as far as like DLC for a person like myself that would much rather be interested in an expanded story, maybe unfolding different characters and giving you different layers to that character, maybe tying up some storylines that were never addressed in the main game. So if this does happen and is true, Rockstar, you'll have my money every single time, as long as the DLCs are compelling and very well done. But again, this is rumors, so we'll have to see where this goes in the future. Let's go ahead and move into the next story. And of course, I found this story yet again at Gaming Bible. So it's no secret that ever since that major funding fell through for Embracer Group, they have been struggling to stay afloat. Now, they are the owners, if you weren't sure who Embracer Group is, they are the owners of some classic IPs like Borderlands, Saints Row, and Tomb Raider, just to name a few. But it looks like these guys can't catch a break because it has been reported that they had to dismiss 5% of their workforce, which equates to around, now this number is staggering, but it equates to around 900 developers. And because of this, 15 games have been cut back. Now, not necessarily canceled, but the budgets and developers have been moved away from 15 affected titles. And allegedly, this is very unfortunate, allegedly Time Spitter's remake has been a casualty of this situation. Now, the CEO of Embracer Group has given a statement about the cuts by saying, quote, "It's never easy to part ways with talented individuals. I would like to put on record a special thanks to the people who have left." Who have left? Man, get the heck out of here. This joker trying to spin like a DJ who have left Embracer in the quarter. These are difficult decisions and we do not take them lightly. For me personally, it is crucial that the program is carried out with compassion, respect, and integrity. End of quote. I don't know how this guy comes out there and tries to spin it by saying, a special thanks to the people who have left. They didn't get left, y'all. Let them go. 900 people were let go. I tell you, that PR is something right there, brothers. But it's worth noting, though, even though they're going through their problems, one of the projects that didn't get canceled, and they can keep this, is Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered, and that's going to release February 14th, 2024. So this leads me to this question that I would have for you guys. Does this mean that since Embracer Group is in trouble, we know, like I mentioned earlier, that funding that they were looking for, that they were looking forward to getting, that fell through. Does this mean that eventually, if they can't stay afloat, or, I mean, I'm sure they'll stay afloat, but like I said, 15 projects have been affected, budgets have been cut, developers have been cut, and let go. How soon do you think, or would you say that it is a possibility that Embracer Group may start looking into selling off some of these franchises? I mean, granted, I named 3 very, very good ones. I mean, Borderlands, Saints Row, and Tomb Raider. I think it's a possibility. I mean, money gets low enough. I mean, they just cut 900 jobs. 900 people got cut. So, like their CEO said, you know, he's in it to make sure that, that they stick with the program. Like you said, for me personally, it is crucial that the program is carried out with compassion, respect, and integrity. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're going to sell off some of these IPs, but, like as everything goes, when things get very, very hard, money gets tight, certain decisions that you didn't think you would ever have to make, you actually start making. So, I mean, look, Microsoft, Sony is out there, Nintendo is out there. Could one of these guys actually offer them enough money for Tomb Raider or Saints Row to actually buy the IP off of their hands? I mean, of course, this is still kind of early. It's still developing, but I do believe that if things do become more dire, then eventually those conversations may start to happen. But until they do, we'll have to speculate and just stay tuned to see what happens. Let's move on into the next story. So, and I got this story from VGC, but in quick news, this ain't actually quick news, but the PS5 version of Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition will include the base game on the disc, but you will be required to download the expansion separately. Now, for the Xbox Series versions, the game will come on 3 separate discs. God, dog. 3 separate discs. Man, we're talking about Final Fantasy 7 days. Golly, PlayStation days. But it's going to come on 3 separate discs, including Phantom Liberty. Out of the box. So unlike the PlayStation 5 version, you won't have to download the expansion separately. Now, a CD Projekt Red spokesperson explained the reason why this is. He said, quote, the CD Projekt Red spokesperson explained the reason why is because of technical requirements specific to each platform. End of quote. Now, the PS5 version includes a code for the expansion. And there were so many people online. And when I say so many, I'm just strictly talking about Twitter, not Facebook so much, but mostly Twitter for the most part, social media in general. People were upset, saying that they wouldn't be supporting this. Why does PlayStation 5 have the GIMP version and Xbox doesn't? I won't support it. You won't be getting my money. I'm saying to myself, this is one of those times where people got this fake outrage. Yet again, they did not say that the Phantom Liberty would not be included in the PlayStation 5 version, which I was shocked that they were even going to include that. I mean, this is a really, really great package, and I will be picking this up for sure. But for people to have all of this fake outrage about it, the DLC is there. Phantom Liberty is on the PlayStation 5 version. You just have to download it. That's all you got to do. Download it. I mean, sometimes, man, I look at these comments and I say to myself, people just waking up mad. They just want a reason to be mad out here. I mean, the Xbox version has 3 discs. 3. Now, I don't know how many the PlayStation 5 version has, but I do know 3 discs is a lot in today's era of gaming. That is a ton. But I didn't see anybody complaining about that, which, again, this is a nothing burger. I don't even know why I'm even giving this energy. Listen, this game is going to be out December 5th. For you guys that want to check it out, it's going to include the DLC, Liberty City and all of that good stuff. It's a great package. Now, unfortunately, they didn't give the official price of how much this is going to be. The last time I reported on this, they said it was going to be $60. That was not said by CD Projekt Red, but instead the report from GameStop when they were saying that this game did exist. That's what they had it down for. So we'll have to wait to see what the price point is. But again, if it's $60 and you get all of the updates that have made the game so much better, fix so many of the bugs and the things that were broken at first. And you're getting the Liberty City DLC included in there as well. This is a fantastic package, and that's all that matters or should matter at the end of the day. CD Projekt Red has given us fantastic value for our dollars, and I know that they messed up. It's no way that you could ever, take up for them messing up, the launch. Then again, I kind of do take their side a little bit because this is not their call. This is the publisher's call. If the publisher says you got to release it, you got to go. I don't care what kind of state the game is in. The developers have no choice. Their hands are tied. So they got to do what the publisher tells them they have to do. So I give them a little bit of grace on that because it shows that they did not want this kind of project to release in the state that it did, because they stayed at it continuously until they got it to pretty much where the game was supposed to be originally. And just the fact that they are releasing this allegedly at $60 for the amount of content that you get, that's a fantastic value. So, I mean, I give them their props. Give them their cheers. CD Projekt Red, I still believe that they're a top tier developer. And because of them doing this, I think it was very, 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 I think it was very nice. That's all I can say. But salute to them now. Salute to them. Thought it was a great gesture. Great gesture. So let's go ahead and move into the next story. Man, I butchered the heck out of that one, man. Pardon me. But let's get into the next story. So this next story is coming to us from VGC. That's where I got this story from. So this next story about the Nintendo Switch 2, I'll keep this one brief. Now, it has to do with the power of the Switch 2. So according to Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry, he estimated that if the Switch 2 has DLSS without DLA, it would be unlikely that the console would be able to upscale to 4K. Oh, man. And that more realistically, it, quote, would be like 1080p upscaling possibly to maybe 1440p if you're lucky, depending on the game. End of quote. Oh, man. Now, Ledbetter went on to refer to the T239 GPU, which is rumored to be in the Switch 2, and said, quote, I've had sources come forward saying there's no DLA in the T239, which would limit the viability of DLSS quite significantly. End of quote. Now, Richard Ledbetter, if you're like myself, you love to see these different face-offs between PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. I mean, PS5 has been walking them, with certain games, but I gotta give the Series X some credit. I didn't mention this, but it looks like Alan Wake 2 actually runs better, according to Digital Foundry, on the Xbox Series X. So you gotta give them that one. They got that one, but we know that their breakdowns and their reviews of the tech and how they go into the intricate details about these different consoles or the frame rates or the GPU, CPUs, whatever it may be. They're pretty good at what they do. And if Richard Ledbetter is pretty much saying that the Switch 2, because of some of the what would you say? Some of the specs, the alleged specs on the Switch 2 won't be able to do 4K, and it'll be more like 1080p upscaled to 1440p. Man, that makes me believe yet again we are talking about maybe a cross breed of, let's say, between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 or Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Somewhere around like in the middle, I think is where the Switch will probably hit, or the Switch 2, that is, it'll probably hit somewhere around in that crease between the 360 and the 360 and Xbox One and PS4 and PS3. But we'll see, man. I mean, that kind of, it doesn't shock me if it does end up being true, because Nintendo never is at the cutting edge of technology. It's what they don't do. They just stay in their own lane and do what they want to do. And again, which is why their game should never be nominated for Game of the Year. You know, let it be Platformer of the Year, Adventure Game of the Year, Puzzler Game of the Year, but never Game of the Year, because they're never dealing with current technology. All of these third-party developers out there giving it all they got. And yet Nintendo can come around with Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Mario Wonder and get nominated for Game of the Year. What a bust. Anyway, we'll stay tuned to this story and see what happens as the weeks and months go forward. Let's move on into the next story. So now this is quick news, and I got this story from Push Square. Now, in quick news, Asobo Studios, of course, the studio behind both A Plague's Tale and Flight Simulator, and these guys know how to put together some beautiful looking games. But they have renewed their partnership with publisher Focus Entertainment in order to pursue, quote, another exciting project, end of quote. Now, on a side note, A Plague's Tale Requiem has hit 3 million players, just shy of its 1-year anniversary. So Asobo Studios, they have renewed the contract. They're back up for another exciting, well, quote, another exciting project. Now, I do wonder, will it be another Plague's Tale? Or will they go into a different direction? Now, I have not played A Plague's Tale. I know AB, shout out to that brother. He said that he actually enjoyed it. He had a really, really good time with it. He thought it was a great game. And me and him, we pretty much align with our gaming tastes, as it were. So I have to believe that it is a good game. I mean, from what I've seen, good gosh, the games look incredible. We're talking about Flight Simulator and A Plague's Tale. Both of those games are graphical showpieces, very beautiful looking games. But I do wonder, will they go into another direction? Will they start a brand new IP, or will they continue, with A Plague's Tale, which is pretty, I would say, moderately successful, hitting 3 million players. Now, that's the thing. I don't always like this metric. It's such and such players. I want to know how many copies of the game have sold, because you can go on to Xbox Game Pass, download a game, play it for like 5 minutes, and you're considered to be a person that played the game. Never completed it, never spent like the real money that it would cost to actually buy the game. None of those factors are ever factored in. So this player count, I want to know how many copies the game has sold. I want to know the copies sold. You know, that's how we can get a really, really good understanding of how successful, I'm not just talking about A Plague's Tale, but any game for that matter is, because those player counts, man, those things are skewed. If you're paying $15, well, it's not 15 anymore. I think it's $17 a month for Game Pass. That does not equate to me, in my mind, that developer is making those kinds of dollars for the downloads. Now, granted, unless Microsoft is doing it like, I don't know, Apple does with Apple Play, or, these other streaming services, with music, if they're doing it like that, we give you such and such amount of dollars for each time the game is downloaded, some kind of metric like that. That's one thing, but I still don't believe that it would ever equate to somebody going out there and actually picking up the game at its full price, because even artists say that they don't even know how that works, how the streaming model actually works and how they get the money out of it. They said that it's pretty much pennies on the dollar. So I can only imagine that it's probably similar with these guys that are doing these deals with both Microsoft and Sony, that they're only getting pennies on the dollar for their game. Nothing will ever beat a person going out there, not even going out to a store, but downloading the full game for the full price. So I don't know. That's why my fear of Game Pass, that's why I'm a little fearful of it, because I just don't want the quality to drop. And I know people say, well, they're going to make such and such amount of money, from Microsoft. I get that, man. But nah, I don't know how that's going to work in the long run. But either way, shout out to, again, Asobo Studios for actually re-upping on that contract and being able to work on another exciting project. Let's move on into the next story now. This next story I got from Cryptopolitan. So this next story has to do with Insomniac's upcoming Wolverine project. And this information is being reported on by Daniel Reitman as far as this goes. So as far as the tone of the game goes, now, according to Daniel, it will be targeting a M rating and is expected to dive into the darker and more violent themes, which is definitely fitting for the character. Hold on. Oh, we need that. Wolverine needs a M rating. Oh, for sure. Oh, my goodness. All right. Now let's talk about the setting. Now, it's going to take place in a fictional Southeast Asian city called Madripoor. It's spelled Madripoor. Madripoor. Now, it was said that this setting is not new and has appeared in the comics multiple times, so it adds to an authenticity to fans familiar with the Marvel Universe. And as far as the release date, it's being said in the report that it won't be released until 2025, so that they can concentrate on the quality and depth of Wolverine. So it looks like 2024 is out the window, which is not surprising. I don't think too many of us really believed that the game was going to release next year. I thought it was way too fast. I would much rather them sit back, continue to cook this game, make it the best Wolverine experience that we could ever hope for it to be. And that they would, just take their time. And it looks like they're doing that. So 2025, I'm going to guess sometime around September, October, the game will probably come out in 2025. Hopefully we'll see something soon on Wolverine. I mean, they've been working on it for a bit of a stretch now. So maybe we'll see something coming up real soon. Game Awards, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I am excited to hear. Now I got to put this out there again. This is alleged. This has not come from Insomniac Games. I don't want to be out here, giving false hope and, then it turns out to not be true. But again, according to this report by Daniel Reitman, his last name is spelled Richtman. According to him, the game is going to have an M-rated rating, which is, did I say an M-rated rating? Golly, that makes no sense. It's going to be M-rated. I'm all over the place in this episode, so pardon me. But it's going to be M-rated. That works out well. It's going to have a setting that a lot of people that are familiar with the comic books are going to know and be familiar with. And that's great. So it looks like they're doing their homework, doing their research. I know that in that trailer, that first trailer that was shown, somebody had picked up that it was a reference to the Hulk in the bar somewhere. So could you imagine? Oh my gosh. And I know that the Hulk and Wolverine have had some run-ins in the comic books. So I know it goes with the allure, not the allure, but it goes with the lore of the Wolverine's, his Marvel universe. I'm just thinking, man, I would love to know what kind of boss fight that would be, with Wolverine and Hulk going at it in a game of today's stature. Matter of fact, I gotta say this on a side note, because of boss fights, because of the, boss fights being epic, something like that with Wolverine and Hulk going at it with each other. And this is no spoilers, but I just started God of War Ragnarok. Oh man. God, hey, Sony Santa Monica. Oh my gosh. Man. Woo. Hey man, listen. I had to buy the PlayStation 5 for like $550 because it came with God of War Ragnarok. I wasn't too mad about it because it was a game that I was going to pick up anyway. But let me tell y'all something just on a side note. I know we were talking about Wolverine, but the boss battles that I have been going through in God of War Ragnarok, oh my gosh. Hey man, this game is a darn movie. This game is a real, for real movie. Graphics, story, voice acting, controls, the gameplay, the abilities that you get for the character, man. Listen, we know that Insomniac is first party, just like Sony Santa Monica is first party. And I haven't played Spider-Man 2 yet, so I don't know, how well Insomniac is done. I have no doubt they have done phenomenally well. They have grown to be one of my top 5 studios, since their release schedules. They've just been absolutely amazing. They might be in the top 3. But I have no doubt that they did not slip in Spider-Man 2. It actually rated better than the previous Spider-Man. So I'm just imagining these boss battles that they're going to be able to do with Wolverine. I mean, even in Spider-Man Miles Morales, some of those boss fights, but God, dog, I'm just excited. That's all. I'm all over the place. I'm rambling. I do apologize, but it just clicked. I mean, playing this God of War and these boss battles, good gosh, they have cleaned up so many things that I had a bit of a gripe with. Not a big gripe. It was just a little like, golly, I wish they would stop doing that and maybe make it a little more varied. They have fixed so many of the problems I had with the previous God of War from 2018. In this release, that game is stellar. But anyway, we'll see what happens with this Wolverine story. Hopefully next year we'll get some more footage of it, see something brand new, get us very excited. I mean, good grief. I'm completely sold. Wolverine, I will be buying that as soon as I can. I'm gonna stop saying I'm buying stuff on day one because the money ain't always day one ready. You know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? But this will be a game that I will be picking up as long as the reviews are good. Then again, I can't even vouch for that. If it's a game you want to play, I would just recommend you pick it up no matter what, because it's been quite a few games, and I've mentioned it before, that was supposed to be bad, and they actually ended up being really, really good, at least for me. I just beat Gotham Knights yesterday. That game was fantastic through and through. I would have gave that game maybe an 8.5, maybe an 8.7. After doing some of the side activities. The game is extremely solid. It was a very, very good game, very enjoyable. I enjoyed the story, the gameplay, the upgraded abilities that you get. It was very, very, very well done. I really, really enjoyed it. But let's move on And to the next story, and I actually want to circle back around to Rockstar. Now, this next story that I did get, I got this from a site called Hindustan Times. It's spelled Hindustan Times. Hindustan Times. Anyway, man, y'all know I'm a butcher a name or two every single episode. But let's talk about Rockstar one more time. So Rockstar, of course, has made the announcement that GTA 6 would be shown off in early December, but we don't know how soon that will be. Well, according to a user named Max Logan on GTA forums, he noticed that the Italian announcement used the phrase, now I'm not fluent in Italian, but quote, he said, Primi Giorni de Dicembre, end of quote, which means first days. This is what it translates to. It translates to first days of December. Now, Max explained that in Italy, this usually refers to a period between December 3rd and December 5th at the latest. At the latest. So if this report is to be believed, then that means that this announcement will happen before the Game Awards, between the 3rd and the 5th of December, which is coming up. Man, let's see what day that falls on. Do I have my phone on me? Let's look to see if that's even realistic, because when I was writing this, I didn't even look up the day. So let's pull up December. And December 3rd falls on a Sunday, so I don't think that's going to happen. The 4th is a Monday, and the 5th is actually a Tuesday. So I don't know. We do get announcements on Tuesday. A lot of things do happen on Tuesday in gaming as far as announcements go. So I would say realistically, it would be either on a Monday or Tuesday if this is to be believed. And if that is the case, that day is going to melt. It's going to melt the internet yet again. And I do want to retract something I said about Twitter. In the last episode, I said that the tweet from Rockstar actually broke a record on Twitter. It did, but I went somewhere real crazy with it. I said it did like 1 billion retweets or something like that. No, that was false. That was not true. What the number was, I couldn't tell you because I still don't know, but I do know, excuse me, guys, I do know that was way too much, way too much. But they did break the record. But anyway, back to the story. If this is true, this is going to be epic. And that means we are not that far off, because today, what is today's date? Today's date is the 26th. So you're talking about what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no more than 10 days from now. That, again, if this is true, we'll be getting the actual trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 no more than 10 days from now. Very, very, very interesting, exciting. I was of the mindset that I did not think Rockstar would ever use Jeff Keighley's Game Awards to actually show this off, because they are way bigger than the Game Awards as a whole, and they don't need anybody. They don't need anybody to advertise for them. That's what I meant by they're bigger than the Game Awards. They don't need their help in advertising their product, which is Grand Theft Auto 6, which is going to sell a crap ton when it's released. But we'll see if this does hold to be true. Let's move on into the next story. So this next story I got from Windows Central. So in Ubisoft news, it looks like they tried to pull a fast one. Yeah, they did. Because it was reported that a huge pop-up ad was appearing in the middle of gameplay in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So much so that they ended up making a statement on Twitter. Now, Ubisoft went out on Twitter, or X, if you want to call it that. They said, quote, we have been made aware that some players encountered a pop-up message in-game while playing Assassin's Creed titles yesterday. This was the result of a technical error, and that has now been fixed. End of quote. Yeah, these jokers went out there and cleaned that up fast, didn't they? But this isn't shocking because we've heard rumblings about these kinds of practices for a while now. But the only way, and I gotta say this goes back to having real outrage, something that's worth having outrage over. The only way to really combat practices like this is you gotta get out there and you gotta complain about it. You gotta, say your piece on it, and these kind of things, they matter because there's no way I should be paying full price for a game and you all of a sudden mid-game want to doggone show me an advertisement that pops up in the middle of my screen. No, that's never accepted. You're going to do commercials and games now. This ain't a free to play. I paid you full price for this game. There's no way you should have these pop-ups popping up in the middle of my gaming session. So again, we heard this before. I think Microsoft was supposed to be toying with the idea of actually having ads pop up in the middle of games and things of that nature. And that's just not acceptable. So I'm glad for the people that were out there complaining about this. I'm very, very glad to hear that it reached Ubisoft and they understood that they messed up pretty much and they couldn't pull the fast one that they thought they were going to be able to so easily. So yeah, that's very, very good news. And hopefully this is a practice that never ever sees the light of day on fully priced, bought games. Now what would be interesting, because I was talking about the revenue and how I don't think these games, these manufacturers of the games are, developers. Golly, what am I doing this episode? The developers of the games, I don't think that and the publishers for that matter, are getting back the money that they spent when they're talking about just putting it in Game Pass. Now, the thing that I do fear, again, just going back to Game Pass for the moment, and PSN as well. I mean, they all fall in the same boat to a certain degree. The thing that I do kind of worry about, I mean, it'll never affect me because I'm just not interested in being a part of either one of the services because I don't play online. I don't have PSN right now. I don't have Xbox Live either, let alone Game Pass. So I'm not on the table. But for those that are, it does make me wonder, will these kind of practices actually become more prevalent with those types of services? Look, you're paying us $17 a month or $18, whatever the price is a month. We're giving you all of these AAA games, these AAA quality games that you guys want to play. You don't want to pay the full price. They're in the service. So as a trade-off, not only do you have to pay us per month, but you also got to sit through these commercials so that we can kind of salvage and get back some of the money that we're going to be out of, when picking up these titles. So if that does happen, I can see that actually being a reality. Unfortunately, people will complain. They'll be upset about it. It's not a practice I would ever want to see happen in gaming, but I do think that would be an angle that they may be able to work with, unfortunately, for people that don't want to go out there and pay full price for their games, that they'll say, look, okay, you don't want to pay full price, no problem. Let's meet in the middle. We'll show you commercials, almost like the YouTube model. We'll show you commercials. You don't want to, pay full price for the game, aka for YouTube, you don't want to pay for the actual YouTube service. Okay, fine. We'll just show you commercials every couple of minutes or however they set it up to supplement that income that we're losing and giving you guys these games for $18 or $20, whatever it may end up being a month, which would be, that'd be interesting. I don't know. I might be reaching on that one, but I do believe that if they were going to try it and get away with it and not retract on it, that it would fall under one of those kind of practices under Game Pass or PSN or some kind of subscription service. These things might become more prevalent. But let's move on to the next story. Now, again, we go back to Gaming Bible, which is the story that I picked up from them for this. So according to an interview, it looks like a new Halo is in the works. But it doesn't look like 343 will be at the helm. So according to certain Affinity's CEO Max Holberman, who confirmed it, he has several projects currently in the works, including one in collaboration with 343 Industries, suggesting it could be leading its own Halo game. Now, maybe it'll end up being something like a spinoff, similar to Halo Wars or Halo Reach, something like that. But it would, I would be interested in seeing what a new studio could do with the Halo franchise, considering 343 Industries, they've been up and down. Their track record has been up and down with the franchise since they took it over. But I'm sure this project, is a ways off. We'll have to stay tuned. But, actually, if you guys want to hear this, what he actually said. Matter of fact, I'll see if I can edit it in so y'all can hear the snippet of the interview that he gave.
Working on several projects as a support studio. For example, the team of about 100 of developers you have on the Halo project you talked about a few months ago. Like, how do you manage to split your resources to be both a support studio and working on your own game?
No, it's a good question. It's certainly challenging. We have three projects. Well, 3.1, I call it today. We have three big ones and one small one. One of them is a continued partnership with 343, which I can't go into the details on. And that's actually our biggest project today.
So he actually said that it's their biggest project to date. So that means that this game is going to be really, well, I don't know how big, but if it's the biggest project they're working on, then that sounds pretty big. So now what the extent of this will be, he didn't go into any details as you guys could hear, but, how big the game will be is to be determined, at this point in the game. But it's something that I've really wanted to see for quite some time. We know Bonnie Ross, she's no longer there at 343. And things have started to turn around a little bit. I mean, again, I got to give them their credit over there at 343. Some people are saying that Halo is in the best state. Matter of fact, I talked about this a couple of episodes ago. I'm not going to repeat it. But I would love to see what another team could do. Now, does that mean that they're going to have full control over the Halo IP? I don't know about that. He said it's a partnership with them and 343. So maybe 343 will still have their hands in the pot, as it were, or maybe they, let the reins go and let them go as far as they want to go. But either way, it does sound like a new Halo project is in the works as of right now. And we'll just have to see how long it takes for them to actually show it off officially. But let's move into the final story for this week, and it is it's not the biggest gaming story at all. It's just a small little update. But it's actually pretty interesting. It's pretty good if you ask me. But according to Genki, his name is spelled Genki, over there on Twitter, or X if you want to call it that. He said, quote, Shift Up have reportedly formalized a PS5 publishing contract with Sony Interactive Entertainment for the worldwide distribution of Stellar Blade. It is reported that through this contract, Shift Up officially becomes the first Korean company to join SIE as a second party partner. End of quote. Wow, the first to do it. Wow. Shout out to Shift Up. Man. Wow, that's pretty dope. Have you guys been looking on YouTube and looking at some of these Unreal Engine 5 tech demos that are coming out of Korea? And these guys are on a whole different level. And the thing is, now usually, I got to say this. I'm going to come back to Shift Up, but I just got to, do a sidebar here. these projects that I've been seeing running in Unreal Engine 5, at one point in time, I would say this is a pipe dream. It is no way the game could look this good. But I have to say, brothers and sisters, since I have been in this current generation with PlayStation 5, so many games actually look like these Unreal Engine 5 demos. Playing Batman, well, it's not Batman, but Gotham Knights. It's certain scenes I'm walking down the street, down, some kind of part of the building or outside of the buildings. And I'm saying this looks like a Unreal Engine 5 demo, but I'm actually playing it. So when I see these games looking as great as they do, now granted, it might not be a 1-to-1 in all cases, but they are much closer to reality than not. I mean, in playing God of War Ragnarok right now, God, dog, that game is beautiful. It is absolutely stunning to look at. These games today are just incredibly impressive. Even playing Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is a smaller, some people would say AA title. I think it was a little better than AA. I think that thing was teetering on AAA quality. I mean, that game is beautiful as well. A game of that stature that's not even at the time when it was new selling for full price to actually come out the gate with the kind of graphics that it has. Incredible. So Korea is, making these different games, and just the fact that they were able to get this second party partnership with Sony, being the first Korean company to do so, it shows that it is something going on over there with their talent level. And if you guys aren't familiar with what Stellar Blade is, it's the game I was talking about a couple of weeks ago that reminds you of Bayonetta, but man, it's like 5 or 10 times better graphically than Bayonetta could ever be, at least in its current state. And Bayonetta is not owned by Nintendo. I said that in the last episode. That was a mistake. They're not owned by Nintendo, but they do have exclusive rights to the Bayonetta games as it stands right now. I think they got Bayonetta 3 is exclusive, and another Bayonetta was exclusive as well. But they don't own Bayonetta. But I'm getting back to this story. Stellar Blade, this game is amazing. It looks amazing. And just the fact that they're second party now, could that mean that maybe we get something at the Game Awards? Because this game was supposed to release this year. I think it's a safe bet to say that ain't going to happen. But the thing is with them being second party, Sony has a lot more skin in the game. They're putting up the money. They're funding these guys, which could also be another good thing, because we know that Sony, when their games release, they give you that polish. Now, granted, not every single PlayStation game has come out the gate to amazing glowing reviews. They haven't, but you gotta give it to Sony. They hit more than they don't. Most of their games are usually very sound and very solid at the end of the day. They don't have a ton of misses, as compared to maybe the competition, Xbox. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it, doggone it. Xbox done missed. They done missed multiple times for multiple years, but I'm hoping they get that together. But getting back on track to this story, with them having more skin in the game, maybe they were telling these guys, look, I need y'all to tighten up on this, tighten up on that, make the gameplay loop this way, tighten up the story a little bit over here. Maybe they're like grooming and guiding them in a certain direction to make the game much better than it possibly would have been if they had just came out with the game in the state that they originally were going to do that in. And just to circle it back, just one more time to Xbox, I got to give them credit, though, because Psychonauts 2, Tim Schafer said it would have not been that same game that they released if they had released it in the state that it was in without the backing Xbox actually giving them the money and the resources that they needed to actually make that game a fantastic game. Matter of fact, people act like they say that Microsoft or Sony, not Sony, but Xbox hasn't had any Game of the Year contenders. Psychonauts 2 was a Game of the Year contender just year before last? It was up there. So, I mean, yeah, y'all can say, yeah, they bought it from, Tim Schafer. It was his kind. It doesn't matter. They're under the Xbox banner. So they actually did have a game up for Game of the Year, which again, forget that doggone Xbox tax that y'all want to talk about. It does not exist. Just make sure that you're making great games and you'll get to the results that you're looking for. But for me, hopefully this means that these guys that shift up, maybe Sony shows something off of this game at the Game Awards. And we get some new gameplay footage and possibly a release date sometime next year in 2024. But this is a game that I was high on when we saw it at that PlayStation event over the summer, with Wolverine and Knights of the Old Republic. I talked about it last week. But hopefully we get an update, man, sometime soon. But either way, with them being second party, I know, again, Sony is definitely going to, shift them and mold them into what they need them to be to bring out the best product possible. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. And we will return with our final section of the podcast and the question of the week. We'll get into that right after this week's Video Game Theater. In this week's Video Game Theater, I wanted to take a look back at an extreme classic back from 1997 that actually paved the way, in my opinion, for some of the cinematic storytelling that we actually have in games today. From the voice acting, from the story plot to the character development. This game right here was absolutely amazing. Metal Gear Solid. The original, back on PlayStation, 1997. And this clip that we're going to get into is classic. So without further ado, let's get into Video Game Theater. And we will return right after this.
Useless woman. Optic camouflage, huh? I hope that's not your only trick. You doubt my power? Now, I will show you why I am the most powerful practitioner of psychokinesis and telepathy in the world. No, there's no need for words, Snake. I'm Psychomantis. That's right, this is no trick, it's true power. It's useless, I told you. I can read your every thought. Now, let me read your mind. No, perhaps I should say your past. You are a very methodical man, the type that always kicks his tires before he leaves. You are a highly skilled warrior, well suited to this stealth mission. You are extremely careful of traps. You are either very cautious, or you are a coward. Still don't believe me? Now I'll read more deeply into your soul. I can see into your mind. So, you like Suikoden. So, you like Azure Dreams? You like Castlevania, don't you? You enjoy role-playing games. I see that you enjoy Konami games. You have not said often. You are somewhat reckless. I can read you like an open book. You still don't believe me? I will show you my psychokinetic power. Put your controller on the floor. Put it down as flat as you can. That's good. Now I will move your controller by the power of my will alone. What do you think now? Can you feel my power now? The demonstration is over.
Man, Psycho Mantis! Hideo Kojima! Oh, that was prime Hideo Kojima right there. That's when that brother was in his prime. Man, I hope to get that Kojima back one day, but that right there, when I was playing that boss fight, I've talked about this a million times though, but that's how impactful it was for me. When I was doing all of the moves and he was countering everything I was doing, I started to believe, especially after the controller. We know I'm about to say the dual sense. It was the rumble in the controller when he was, acting like he was moving the controller. It was amazing. It was incredible. I don't know if we've ever had a boss fight that epic to this day. I don't think we've ever had anything on that level where you had to take it out of port 1, put it into port 2 so that he couldn't understand your golly, I'm all over the place. Your moves that you were going to be doing, your move set or whatever. It was absolutely incredible. But with that being said, man, I got to give it up one more time, man. God, dog. Metal Gear Solid 1997. Yeah, man, what a classic. What a classic. I still got my original in the PlayStation box. But with that being said, guys, let's get into the final section of the podcast. And of course, you guys saw the question. I had pretty much alluded to it earlier in the show, in the podcast, but let's go over it officially. So I want to ask you guys, do player counts equate to money? I really need to know this. Now, you can say, and I want to put the caveat out there. I'm not talking about online games either. I should have probably led with that because I know that if you got a ton of player counts when it comes to these online games, you're going to get, people investing into the product, buying the skins, buying the weapons, getting the DLC. I get that. What I'm talking about is single player games. Maybe I'll probably title it, do single player counts equate to money, single player games. Anyway, that's my question. I don't think it does. Everybody wants to talk about, this game has 30 million, players on it. This has 50 million players, 10 million players. I don't think it equates to the money though. Even with Starfield, as many players as it had, it sold 1 million copies. 1 million and something copies, which is impressive. Probably it's sold more since then. But to me, I don't think anything will make up that money like it would if you actually buy the product outright instead of actually being subscribed to these different services out there. PSN, Xbox, not Xbox Live, Game Pass, any of them. But that's my question to you guys this week. As always, you can get in contact with the show. If you guys bite on this one, I think I need to do something. I need to bring back the show because I really want to hear from y'all. So I'm gonna make I ain't gonna make a promise. I ain't gonna make no promise, doggone it, because I don't like breaking promises. But if enough people do comment on this and leave voicemails or emails, then I'll probably do a show on this because this baffles me. This is truly baffling to myself. But if you do want to be a part of the conversation, you can either call in, and the phone number is 443 380-0281, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It truly, truly means a lot. And with that being said, depending on, how it goes with this one, we might be back at it on Wednesday. I'm not saying for sure. I'm not giving you guys my word. I'm not promising anything, but if enough people do comment on this, we'll probably have a show on Wednesday. So with that being said, again, thank you guys so much. And before we get out of here officially and wrap it up and put that bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the game. So until possibly Wednesday, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.